Welcome back, everybody. Episode of Souls Mates. I think the only thing that's gone up between episodes is the vigor went up by 1 point, and then
Very vigorous. Look at that face.
and now we have a +7 fire longsword. I think that's all we did.
Flaming swords of death.
Yep. Mitch and I did not go hollow, fortunately. The plague still rides within us.
Yeah, so, I mean, we are cursed, so if we die, we'll come back, and we will hunger for souls. So
We'll seek more soul. Nope, not going.
if you guys see us running around with, like, arms and armor, run.
Okay.
Cody, you did this last time, too.
Yeah, there's actually a good way of dealing with this. I don't remember which one of these. It's this one. Okay. Because they can't get in here. Or they can, but it's at least, Whew. Mash that L1.
But you need to leave yourself enough stamina to roll back. Roll back.
Okay. Man, they can poise. They got poise for days, Mitch.
Yeah. Look at those big boys. With all those chains and everything.
Okay.
Alright, that's a great start to this episode.
I now remember where my souls are.
But it doesn't matter now.
Yeah. Yeah, after I died, I remember where my souls were. So it's fine. It's all fine. We're fine here. It's a thing. Whatever. So while we make our shameful run back, we were talking before we start recording that I've been listening to the Lore podcast by Aaron Mahnke, is his name. It's a pretty good podcast. He's a pretty monotone guy. This is not what we want to do, Mitch. We are being piss poor at this adventuring thing.
You rolled this time at least.
I
And
did roll.
dodged.
There's one of these they can't get into. Or maybe they changed that. I don't know.
And they figured out they can just jump down and come after you that way too.
Yeah.
They've already been in there.
Yep.
That was where your souls would have been.
Yep, pretty much.
Ooh. Oh no, Cody.
Nope, this was bad. Poor idea. R1 spam. R1 spam. See? We did it, Reddit. We're good. We're fine. See? We're all fine. It's all fine.
I mean, the world around you is not on fire, but it is covered in, like, poison and disease and...
Like, a single match is really gonna, like, just... My world's on fire. How about yours, this place?
That'd be kind of cool, actually. Let me set this place on fire, because it's just all flammable gases.
Mitch, we're fighting smarter, not harder.
I mean, I was hoping you would do that one of these days.
Okay.
But don't get greedy.
Yep, don't get greedy. There's 2 hits there. Okay. Apparently that was not enough to kill him. Anyways, so I've been listening to the Lore podcast. It's actually a really cool podcast. It talks about, like, the history of shenanigans, whatever.
It is not a Dark Souls lore podcast.
No, it is just the Lore podcast. Like, the first episode talks about, like, vampirism, and kind of stuff like that, and, like, undead and pygmies, and I listened to one about dolls this morning, or on my way home from work, rather. anyways, it's a cool podcast, but it doesn't make me think about. Last time we played, we talked about converting the Dark Souls world into like a D&D campaign, right?
Yep.
Which I think we should still do. And we talked a little bit about that. Hashtag content. But listening to lore makes me think it'd be really fun or interesting to play like in a low magic setting game where like there aren't wizards and clerics, everywhere. And like superstition stuff still like, oh, okay, I didn't know there's Dark Spirit here now.
It's forlorn, and he's gonna whoop your ass.
Probably.
Because he almost did last time.
It doesn't help that we've got a hammer dude and a ninja flip guy, and this doesn't go around like I thought it did. So anyways. So maybe think about like, and one of the things they talk about the Fae, which are an interesting thing, mythologically speaking, and they talk about changelings specifically.
Okay. Which are half Fae, half human, right?
No. Changelings in like old school, like let's talk like Irish lore.
Okay.
Were basically just people that were human, and they thought that the Fae had came and basically stolen them and replaced them with Fae.
Ah, okay.
And so the human would go live in the Fae world with the Fae, and basically live a happy and joyous life.
Oh, you're not human anymore.
I didn't think that mattered. I wasn't human last time.
Oh yeah, that's right. I don't know.
Maybe did I hit his trigger point? Okay.
He just doesn't want to show this time.
Apparently.
He's like, nope, screw you. That was too easy.
So the idea was that you'd have, if your baby was born like malformed or was sick a lot when they were a kid, that the idea was that they were actually not your baby anymore, and that they had been replaced with a changeling from the Fae. Hashtag praise.
Praise it.
420.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, first things first. Change. Test. Praise. So yeah, the idea was that if your baby was like ill-tempered or was sick, the general idea was that your baby had been taken from you and replaced with a member of the Fae, and that your baby had been basically taken to the Fae lands and was basically living in prosperity and all that jazz.
It was a way for mothers to cope.
Yeah, pretty much. Like most, the thing that comes out of that podcast ends up being like legends and lore and stuff is basically a way for people to kind of deal with the stuff they couldn't explain. But it makes me think about playing in a D&D game, like a low fantasy D&D game, where that stuff is still prevalent, right? And you can do some of that stuff because that's what it's kind of what hags do in 5th edition. They steal children and replace them with fake children.
So, I will make mention of a couple of things. So, I was a follower of a Burning Wheel campaign back in the day that actually kind of played on that, where the world was there's very little magic, and it only manifests in a very few select people. But all the players were of a family that were a prominent magical family, but all of the current generation have no real magical aptitude, but they're faking it.
Fake it till you make it, yo.
They're yeah, they're basically con artists at that point. So yeah, it was very interesting because it still has orcs and elves and like some of the standard fantasy tropes, but like it was kind of almost light steampunky in a way because there was almost no magic in the world. Technology had kind of like filled the void, but at the same time there's still very much an air of like doctors had to balance your humors and and bloodletting, and yeah, if like the babies didn't come out as expected, they were like, oh, they were stolen by the elves. And then additionally, to counteract your initial thing with 5th edition, the world doesn't actually have magic everywhere.
Yeah.
The problem is that everyone's playing a power fantasy in 5th edition.
Yeah.
So that there's a greater amount of magic involved because players are around. But like if you got to think about if the world was filled with as much magic, like as players have that skewed like, perspective of, because they have so much access essentially. Think of how the world would be different. I mean, you wouldn't have the idea of like the lone wizard in a tower anymore. It would be like the guy on the corner is a wizard, and he makes sure that our spring of unlimited water, constantly keeps us with clear, pure water.
So there's a YouTube channel I follow called WebDM, which is a great play on the the great play on the name, right? Instead of WebMD, it's WebDM. These are the jokes, folks. And,
We're over-explaining them.
Jiminy's. But they do talk about that, and like that really, if you really think about it, like what would a world? They do a whole episode talking about like creating a world and like what does a low fantasy world and a low magic world look like compared to all this stuff, and how do you have your players playing it? But one of the things they do talk about is like think about like if you took everything in 5th edition to its extreme, like what would that world look like? Which is kind of what Eberron was for 3rd edition, right? Like Eberron was like, this is what happens when the world has a ton of magic in it. And like think about the way that wars get fought and how things get handled. Like if you look at Eberron, which is a really cool, like steampunky, super magic setting.
I think you get Final Fantasy VI, and you get Magitech.
Kind of, yeah. But like Eberron, like think about how wars change when it's not like when you don't have cannons, but you have wizards who can call fireball down, right? Or summon golems, or do like all this other stuff. You're like, oh, that would actually really kind of change how like wars are fought, and we probably wouldn't have the standard thing that. Whenever thinks about wars in Dungeons and Dragons, no one ever thinks about like, oh, well, it takes really just like a couple of high-level wizards to cast Fireball a couple times to take out an entire regiment of knights, the way we think about them normally fighting, right?
But at the same time, like there's like a trope in Dungeons and Dragons, and it's been there for a long time, of like players that were soldiers. And you got to think, like, what were they soldiers for? Like, what were they doing? Like, obviously, they're fighting. They're doing something. They're protecting. They're invading. They're part of an army. So, what would be in that army? Well, obviously, that army is going to consist of soldiers. But since there is magic in the world of D&D, even if there isn't as much as we think, there's still going to be like some casters and some clerics that are of magical power in these armies as well. Because if you are a king or a lord or some sort of ruler, you're going to want to have magic in your army.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're going to have a couple of wizards throwing fireballs, but you're also probably going to have a couple of clerics and wizards trying to counter that.
Yeah, I mean, it poses a very interesting. It's one of those things like, as someone who's designing, creating a world right now, which will hopefully be a D&D game one day, it is something you begin to think about, like, how do cultures and stuff react to things? Like, how prevalent is magic in your world? Nom 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 nom.
Nope.
Just as bad.
Heal! Heal! Whew. Jeez.
It's not something you tend to think about, like in let's say Dark Souls. Like you don't really think about how prevalent is magic actually.
I mean, because it's a video game, you're playing it, you can kind of see.
Yeah, but that's something like we're
Like,
playing.
so just turn around.
Yep.
Look around. Look up. Look at these vases here that have people in them and some sort of like concoction they're in. Are they creating more poison by putting the undead things in there, or are they torturing? Were they torturing people and they turned into undead? It's like, and the poison itself, like, what is the dichotomy? Like, what came first?
Jabba the Hutt.
Jabba the Hutt. And I mean, like, there are demons and there are like unexplained powers. So, I mean, I definitely feel like Dark Souls and Soulsborne in general is a low magic setting.
Yeah.
It's not a no magic; it's a low magic, because very much there's miracles and there are spells, pyromancies, all sorts of different things, but they all kind of share the same source of originating from like the Lord Souls, essentially, like the original fire.
Sorry, Pizza.
Pizza the Hut.
Or he's gonna come ordering for you. If you haven't seen Spaceballs,
Did you go up the ramp?
I
think there was something up there.
You can't get those stairs.
Oh, never mind.
I mean, these are interesting questions to ask while you're like, think about like, Soulsborne is actually really good at that because, I mean, they're already asking you to think about a lot of different things in the game anyways, like, what is this world and what are you doing and why are these people here and all that jazz. But, like, you know, as I'm getting older, I'm finding my interests changing, and I'm finding myself wanting to play more board games and pen and paper RPGs and not so much video games as much. It is interesting to take a look at that from like that standpoint of like, okay, what story they're actually like, what stuff are you missing by not just like running through? Some people just don't care, right? Like that's fine. I'm not saying you have to look into every detail. I mean, for crying out loud, that's why people like, you know, Epic Name Bro and VaatiVidya exist, because some people do really care and want to know every little thing about the world and look at all the cues and stuff. And I think we've maybe talked about it a little bit in probably Dark Souls about like how do you make a Dark Souls, or maybe we haven't, like how do you make a Dark Souls pen and paper RPG when there's a lot of weird things that you can do in a, you know, video game because it's a video game. Like item descriptions are like one of those things. Like, this is something you can do because it's a video game, and someone's going to look at this thing and read it, but that doesn't translate nearly as well to, like, a pen and paper game. Right? So it's I mean, so you'll forget today's talk, because today's talk is probably a lot about world building, because that's the hot topic I'm on in my non-video gamey life.
I like these guys a lot, by the way. I think these guys are cool.
I do like the kind of mummy aesthetic.
Yep.
Son of a biscuit. Cheese and rice. That's the saying I haven't said in a very long time.
Cheese and rice.
You've never heard cheese and rice before?
Can't say that I have.
Yeah, Yeah, world building's like an interesting thing to think about and talk about, and as many know, I'm a big fan of Matt Colville. There's a lot of stuff about with like world building and talking about that jazz. But think about like how did the gods play into like the world here? In Dark Souls 1, it's very much like they're there. Like who they consider gods are very much part of their life, and there's a church between the gods and the people and all that jazz.
I'm glad that they put a guard here.
So there's some.
Turn around.
I know. I'm more so. There's a NPC who will lead you here, as well now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think it's Bashful Ray. Where's Devotee Scarlet? And this is also like an interesting thing that Dark Souls 2. People like to rag on Dark Souls 2 a lot. I don't think that's a secret, right? But one thing I think Dark Souls 2 does better than any of the other Dark Souls games is that their NPCs are way more, especially in Scholar of the First Sin, like are way more interesting and seem like they're trying to tell you a story. Like, and have way more personality.
Just like that.
Yeah, like she's saying, hey, if you do something over here.
I think you can just go activate it.
No, you have to actually have a bonfire with you. How many of us missed that on our first time through Dark Souls 2? The regular one. And like she's got like the NPCs, like the summonable NPCs in this one have just character and have a story of their own to tell. I mean, Dark Souls 1 kind of had that a little bit, right? Like, Solaire is like obviously the most memorable of all the Dark Souls 1 characters. But like,
yeah,
Solaire and Black Iron Tarkus. And there's a little bit of story going on in the background. Like, you find Tarkus's body in the Who's a What's-Its place in front of the next to the Painted World, suggesting that he fell. Like, there's a bunch of like world building storytelling going on. Punch him. I'm gonna get kicked off first. Yep. Go get him, Scarlet. Scarlet Man, Rockstar. I need you to move, Scarlet. Can you come over here? Thank you. So I mean, those are like interesting things.
What?
It's just the way he was stuck in there was kind of humorous to me. Like, realistically stuck in there because he got stuck on his feet. But there are world building, like there's a lot of sense of wonderment in Dark Souls 1. Like, how did things get to where they are that maybe aren't in some of the other games? I can't think of a single memorable NPC in Dark Souls 3. Like a summonable NPC. That may actually be more so now that I think about it. I don't think Dark Souls 3 has that many like NPC summons that aren't like actual characters in the game.
No. All of your NPC summons are other characters in the game.
Like,
there's not very many in Dark Souls 1, I'd even say that, where they are where they're just a summon, NPC, and they're not.
I mean, there's
Dark Souls 2 has a ton. That's kind of where they put they wanted to put their NPCs. It felt like because there's not a lot of other NPCs in the game actually.
Yeah. And with that though, that Jiminy Christmas, man.
Dude, these mannequins are like whooping your ass.
22,000, by the way.
Souls?
Uh-huh. It's like 2 levels. Anyways, yeah, it's just like it's an interesting like change from.
I mean, in each game they tried new things
Yeah.
over the first ones, or the previous ones, I should
There
say.
were 2.
Huh? Just one for now. There's more that come.
No, there were 2.
There's another guy who will come over here.
No, there's always 2 coming up these steps.
I don't know, you didn't kill him that much.
But it does present like a different like take on the world, right? I need someone to go watch the tape and tell me that I'm not crazy and that there are normally 2 and not just 1. But yeah, like it's Dark Souls. Like if you just examine the NPC dichotomy in the 3 games, it's super interesting because like in Dark Souls 1, the NPCs are kind of there, and they're not. You kind of talk to them every now and then, and that's really the extent of your interaction with them, right?
Well, you get the feeling in Dark Souls 1 that the NPCs are like traveling the world with you.
Kind of. I mean, that would be the point where I'd say like Dark Souls 3 feels like the NPCs are actually traveling.
Like only Henri is like traveling though, like, and that has its own implications.
Well, I mean, Henri's traveling. Patches is traveling.
Patches doesn't travel.
Patches travels.
No, he sets up shop in the shrine.
Yeah, but like, you find him in the Deacons of the Deep area, right? But he's actually out doing his own stuff. Like you get the sense that they're not just anchored to, like in Dark Souls 1, it feels very much like the NPCs are anchored to Firelink Shrine after a certain point. Almost all of them. And some of them do move, right? Like they go do their thing and then they come back. But at the end of the day, it feels kind of like they just,
Get out of this.
just like hanging around waiting for you to do your thing. Whereas like Dark Souls 3, like there's, Grey Rat who you send out to go, hunt and scavenge for you. Patches leaves at one point in time to go save him.
Heh.
I mean, that is Patches' questline is to go save Grey Rat. But like, yeah, Henri's traveling. I mean, that's for a reason. There's Siegward. Is it Siegward or Siegmeyer in that one? Siegward.
One of the two.
In Dark Souls 3. Siegward is in Dark Souls 3. Oh, damn it. Oh, and she broke the chest. Hopefully it wasn't anything important.
No, but my point is like there's more characters I feel that are traveling, like actually traveling through the world though, in Dark Souls 1, whereas in Dark Souls 3 everybody centers around Firelink.
I mean, and see, that's where I would almost
Like, because Grey Rat goes out, comes back. Patches goes out, comes back. I mean, like all the characters that ever leave, they like come back. Whereas, you got what, Sigmeyer?
Siegward.
Siegfried, whatever, Sieg something, Mr. Onion Bro, in Dark Souls 3, who has his quest that he's going on.
We went through a lot together. Take this as a token of our friendship. Don't be shy. They were meant for you.
Sure.
Well, we meet again. There's treasure this way, but I have a bad feeling about it. I don't quite have the guts myself. Well, we meet.
We'll come back to why he gave us his quotes here in a second.
But yeah, so
See, that's
but in like Dark Souls 1, you have Solaire who's doing that. You have both Onion Bros, Onion Bro. She's still an Onion Bro.
Yep. Let's not kid ourselves. She is the most Onion Bro.
Yep. They're traveling through the world as well. Like it feels like you're not the only one, is what I'm getting at. Whereas in Dark Souls 3, it very much feels like you are the only person that's traveling through the world. Like you run into Henri in her garden now and then, and that's it. Like and Siegfried for his quest, his part. But you don't get the feeling that the people are traveling in the world. That's what I'm getting at.
Magic Pixel.
Yeah.
I kind of get that, but like the thing with like Dark Souls 1 is like everyone ends up in. The only people who don't end up in Firelink, Siegmeyer ends up for like a little bit, and then Solaire never goes. You never see Solaire in Firelink, but everyone else in Firelink just kind of ends up in Firelink and hangs around, except for, and some people leave, like Big Hat, because he's got his little storyline. I say little, but like,
Yeah, I guess my thing is that everybody that you run into that ends up at Firelink they're like travelers to the land. Like they're there for a purpose. They're there to travel for some reason, and it's not just like it doesn't feel like it's a pilgrimage or a quest for them. It's like Big Hat Logan is like, hey, I'm here looking for magic, or I'm here in this land, traveling here for this specific reason. Like it feels like a destination. Like people want to go there. Whereas like Dark Souls 3 is like everyone just feels like they're either traveling along because they have a purpose to fulfill, or they're avoiding their purpose, and they just ended up there.
Be interesting to do. Maybe we'll do an insert topic here on NPCs when this is all said and done.
Just analyze all the NPCs.
Well, like, because
you are so dead.
I am so dead. That's why I'm not even going to bother assisting. I mean, there are different things about it. Like, you can... I mean, in a way, Dark Souls 3 feels more... Like, everyone in Dark Souls 1 is in Lordran for a reason. Like, or is on a... Like, if you talk about, like, what's her name? In the backstabbing priest dude you meet right away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're there for a pilgrimage because she's supposed to go get the Rite of Kindling because she's also cursed. Like, there's that stuff is going on in the background. And it's interesting to see all that stuff kind of play out like that. Yeah, Dark Souls 3 to me just seems like people are all there for their own. Some of it is like, yeah, okay. The one guy.
Is the other weapon?
No. The guy wearing the black armor and like the wolf mask guy is there to bring the lady in to become a firekeeper, and, all that jazz. And for some reason, like the Dark Souls 3 NPCs seem like that they would be going on without you. Dark Souls 3 story relies a lot on the player character doing a bunch of stuff, like to trigger a bunch of things, right?
Yeah.
And so Dark Souls. Did I say Dark Souls 1 or Dark Souls 3?
Well, Dark Souls 3 definitely requires the player to do a lot of things.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
Dark Souls 1, it definitely feels like people are, like, their stories progress without you. Whereas, like, in Dark Souls 3, almost every player that I can think of, or every NPC I can think of, stops or dies if you don't interact with them.
See, and that's where, like, Dark Souls 1 to me feels that same way. Like, if you don't ring the bells of awakening, a lot of stuff doesn't happen in Dark Souls 1.
I think that's just a standard trigger. I don't think that has anything to do with the stories, though. There are things that obviously get triggered, but Sigvard in Dark Souls 3, for instance, gets like trapped,
Yeah, bypass.
and like his story does not progress, like at all, without you progressing it.
yeah,
Like the whole Henri storyline does not progress without you.
I mean, yeah, no,
Like, her traveling part, but the whole other branch of her story does not happen at all without your interaction.
I don't know why I drink. Yes, no, because her story is also reliant. I mean, Henri's story though is tied to yours intrinsically because that's.
Except that whole tied to your story part, you could like completely not even come across that at all.
Yeah, no.
It's actually fairly easy to miss that. You just gotta, I can't remember his name. The
Yeah, I mean, if you miss Yol,
Yol. If you miss Yol, sorry, the whole Henri thing doesn't turn out.
though Henri's story though seems like so you don't do her story like where it's tied to you because her story is pretty tragic even if you don't follow the dark storyline. Like if you don't do that storyline and you do just her normal storyline, it is pretty tragic. Or I guess Henri's the opposite sex of you. Should probably clear that. She's not always a lady. If you're a lady, she's a dude, and if you're a dude, she's a lady.
Yes.
I'm playing like ass.
Apparently,
I'm being greedy is the problem.
you're getting too distracted with this whole talking about Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3.
Yeah, Dark Souls. Just not even talk about Dark Souls 2. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and I think that'd be an interesting conversation to actually have.
Okay, so like maybe Henri's story. Like, yeah, Henri is like, I guess primary story, like continues no matter what. But like, there's a whole part that does not happen without your interaction. There's the whole guy in the wolf mask or whatever. And his charge essentially.
Yep.
Like if you don't free her from her cell, that story doesn't continue. It just sits put.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the
I
same.
mean, heck, you could totally ignore Sigvard's story as well. And he won't go anywhere.
I would say the same thing a lot for a lot of the Dark Souls story. Like, there's some Dark Souls storylines that will continue without you, but there's a lot of them that won't.
I'd say almost all of them because they're not triggered by your interactions with the NPCs for them to continue.
So, like, I'm trying to think, like, what happens if you don't free Lothric? At all. Like, what happens if you leave him in a cell? Does he still go on to murder the Firekeeper? Does he still get out somehow?
I'm trying to think if you can actually...
You don't have to free him. He's not required to do anything in the game.
Yeah, I guess nothing happens with the Firekeeper then.
Like, there's the only stories I can think of that continue completely without your... Like, Big Hat Logan's story requires you entirely to do stuff. You have to free him from both his cells and all that stuff.
Sure. Okay.
Same thing with his apprentice. The pyro guy.
So I know one of the times that you free Big Hat Logan is not required at all.
I think both times are. You free him twice.
Mm-hmm.
You free him in Sen's House of Fun. And you free him in the Duke's Archives. I hear a snake.
The one in the Grand Archives, I think that happens no matter what, doesn't it?
Nope, because the only way you can get him to finish the storyline requires you intrinsically, because you have to buy all of his spells from him.
Yes.
But like, he doesn't escape the cell if you don't rescue him, because we learned that in our playthrough, because we didn't do that. We didn't free him from that cell.
Yeah, we didn't free him from the Duke's Archives.
Yeah. So we didn't talk to him at all, and we didn't finish his storyline. Totally was expecting that one to be American.
There's another one on the other side.
Yep. This is where the final fire is.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Or at least it used to be. I don't know if it still is.
Well, obviously.
Yeah, obviously it is. But that's kind of
lit.
Yeah. But that's like a lot of those stuff. Like the Pyro Bros story doesn't continue if you don't. Like, there's a lot of stuff that without your interaction, a lot of stuff doesn't actually happen. Of course, I'm poison. Might as well just fucking deal with it.
This whole world, or this whole level area, is all about poisoning you, Cody. I don't know if you've noticed.
I mean, I have. I mean, these guys spout poison.
I mean, the boss is all about poison.
Yeah, but you can mitigate.
You can mitigate, yeah. You can mitigate the level's poison. Or the boss's room's poison. There you go, some green blossoms.
Back to the kind of root of this conversation, though, is it's weird that, like, Dark Souls 3 has way more, or Dark Souls 2 has really interesting NPCs in the summons that you are kind of just trying to figure some stuff out with them. And you're like, what is your story? And there's nothing there, which is kind of intrinsically interesting. It's probably why, like, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 3 NPCs are probably more memorable. Because I can't think of us, besides, what's her name?
Exactly, yeah, you don't even remember what it is.
That's annoying, I cannot remember her name. Mitch, what's her name?
Who? Who are you referring to?
The hat lady from Mira.
Oh, Lucatiel?
Yeah, Lucatiel. Could not remember Lucatiel. To save my life. I think this is a mimic.
Yep. I'm surprised you didn't keep smacking it
I was going
when
to.
you saw the health bar. And see, it spit poison at you. And it's also poisoned itself.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, Lucatiel's the only like NPC that I can actually. I hate this game sometimes. We need to go human again because I'd like to summon for this one because one of the coolest guys. Hang on, did the horse shit happen?
Where, because it's dead, and the item disappears.
Or is the item hiding in one of the...
It's not going to hide in those things.
Well, it's more so not as a hiding, but is it like...
Oh, behind one?
It's like being covered by one.
I don't know. It'd be behind those guys. Right now. Behind that one urn. Yeah, it's gone. It's gone for good,
I
Cody.
wonder what it was. It's kind of annoying. Yeah. But I can't think of another NPC in this. The ladder guy. Which we need to go talk to.
He's up top.
Is he up top?
Yeah, he's on top of Earthen Peak.
I can't remember.
Congratulations, you're in Earthen Peak.
But they have like much, not cooler, but like, there's a lot more mystery in the NPCs here, which is kind of the Dark Souls way of things. At the end of the day.
Do you want to go to the top?
Probably.
I'm pretty sure you have to backtrack a little bit first to do that.
We got the mask.
Ooh.
How about this? In the comments down below, why don't you tell us who your favorite NPC is from all of the Souls games?
Not Solaire.
No,
That's
it's
cheap.
not Solaire.
You can't just say Solaire.
Yeah, he is the cheater answer. We all love Solaire. If you don't like Solaire, I'd be interested to know that, though. You can say he's probably... I could probably see that a lot of people call him overrated. And his story arc isn't actually that spectacular. The words of vernacular. Also, if you know what movie I just quoted, you should post that down below too.
Nope, no idea.
Spectacular, spectacular. The words of vernacular. Ooh, we could almost do a mannequin setup here soon. we got the dagger, the shield, and the mask, Mitch.
You've got too much of a head for it.
Anyways. How do we get up top?
You have to go that way.
Do I have to go that way?
Uh-huh.
No, this leads me to the fan.
Yeah, you need to go up from the fan.
Well, then we don't need to go that way.
Oh, that's right, you have the back way
It's a
unlocked.
shortcut unlocked.
Yeah, okay. You just really like them beating up on you, don't you?
Apparently. I think the plague is affecting my ability to actually play. This way?
Pretty sure. There's like stairs or something you can take to go up here.
Oh. Man, sometimes I hate this game. Especially since like, we're going to run it back into the bonfire, which is fine, because it's actually probably...
I mean... That's where you are. There you go.
Now I'm all thinking about NPCs.
I honestly trying to think of like, I think there were like one or two NPCs in Dark Souls 1 where they were just like summonable only NPCs. But I'm pretty sure in Dark Souls 3, like every NPC that's summonable is...
Like, has a story.
Yeah, has a story. I'm
trying to think of any of the NPCs in Dark Souls 1 that would be like that were just summons. Beatrix is kind of that way.
Mm-hmm.
You can, when you find her stuff, you can kind of get her story, but that's different still. So Beatrix is 1. Tark is kind of 1. Because really outside of... Hi. I mean, outside of helping you, you can only summon him for the one fight. I'm trying to think, can you do anything else with Tark? Where do I need to go, Mitch?
I thought there was a way to... There was a way up somewhere. No, don't go that way. Go
This way?
down.
I could have sworn he was on one of these ledges. So we've missed a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, like there was a whole ramp area that we didn't go up at all. Oh yeah, no, you go out that way. Never mind. And you just walked right off the edge.
I would have been surprised if I would have lived.
That would have sucked if you lived.
No, because you'd run away and Homer bone.
I suppose you could have done that, yes. That's right. There's that whole... The ledge goes the other direction, too.
The pachinko machine is currently running, is the problem right now. All my time and effort's being put into what other NPCs.
The problem is that we've been playing Dark Souls 2 a bunch, so like every single time, every NPC that I come to think of is like, oh no, that's a Dark Souls 2 NPC.
Like Bashful Ray. The gesture in this is...
Shush. You Egypt. Stay quiet.
He just called you an Egypt.
I'm on the run. Don't give me away. You're a fugitive too, eh? Yeah? Why else would you be here? It's got death written all over it.
What does?
You want to climb down here? I can lend you a ladder. But, how much can you...
Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah.
Why, yep. I'm trying to help you, you know. Have you
I'll
not
expect
read
you some Dark Souls 3.
downright rude, really. But I've got a soft heart, so I let you off this once.
Sure.
All right.
It's really interesting thing about NPCs. We're gonna go back to the talking about Dungeons and Dragons talk. Like creating NPCs that people like is different for games than it is for like Dungeons and
Go
Dragons.
on ahead. I won't offer this deal twice.
Because there's a fear if you create an NPC that's too cool or too fun or too powerful. Like in the Jester in here is kind of OP for this fight, and it makes it like funny in its own way, right?
Can you break that thing? Can't remember. Nope. Okay.
But if you do the same thing like in Dungeons and Dragons, then you come up with the dreaded GMPC.
There's a difference between like a good NPC that the GM has created that the players get involved in and like, and it is really cool, and the GM PC.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a bit of difference there.
And you think about like, okay, creating like a Solaire in D&D game is actually not that hard. It actually is. I was going to say it's not that hard, but actually I think that's actually kind of hard. Because, that means you have to kind of think of a story and the stuff that comes along with that. You kind of need to do anyways. But...
Well, I mean, let me think about how to word this. But you need to create an NPC that doesn't outshine your players.
Yeah.
Essentially, there needs, well, the NPC needs the players, like either to do a quest or because the players are stronger than them, or because they're in their way. There's something that the players can do that benefits the NPCs that you're creating, essentially. But it's not just like a one-way relationship either. It's got to be like...
He had the magic pixel.
Yep.
It goes both ways.
But the NPC also has to give in that relationship. But again, you can't outshine the players, and it can work sometimes, but it can't be like a MacGuffin thing either.
Yeah.
Like the players need to discover that.
The thing that you can tell you've made a good NPC, and this goes for Solaire, is that people want to see Solaire and they get excited. They get genuinely excited when they get to interact with him.
I mean, not even just in the game,
Yeah.
because again, his story is kind of simple. It doesn't have very many parts. It doesn't go far from A to B, but just his genuineness in his story, and the player characters' involvement in the story is what get people going. And I mean, outside of the game entirely, in fiction, fiction that's around the game, in artwork, in cosplay, people love Solaire.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does help that he's one of the few highly recognizable characters from the series.
Yeah.
People who have never played Dark Souls know who Solaire is.
Yeah, I mean, there are the Farum Knight. The Farum Knight would be another one, but he just is iconic because he's the box of Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, and I mean, that's... People could say, oh, I think that's from a Dark Souls game. But I guarantee they would never be able to tell. People who haven't played the series would have a hard time placing, that's Dark Souls 2 cover art.
I'm actually a little surprised, with how prominent the Farum armor is, as far as Dark Souls 2 is concerned. There's not an NPC who wears it.
I was a little surprised by that as well. Actually, is there any in the DLC?
I don't actually know.
So I'd be curious about that.
My experience with the DLC is very limited based upon the little bit I watched Epic Name Bro play on his first playthrough of it. But in the campaign that we were playing at home, right? I have a whole litany of NPCs. Some of them are NPCs, and some of them are just fun, stupid characters, right? We're just not, no, I'm not even acknowledging that we just killed the boss, right?
I mean,
Jester kind of makes
to be fair, Jester killed the boss.
Yeah, Jester makes that fight.
We were just there.
I did a good chunk of damage there.
We were just there.
There's some
Not even gonna look around the room. No.
No, we'll go back down.
No, too late now.
No, it's not. We can step on the button. It's a button. It's not a two-way street. That's why there's
We've
a
gone
button
too far.
you know, there's Aiden, who is my D&D character from other games, right? And he just happens to be there. And you guys don't even interact with him that much. He just is your landlord.
Yeah.
But, like, that's my judge. Like, there's, you know, you guys have met some NPCs, Flavius being one, who I like as an NPC, but I also created him. So, it's playing that thing like, if Flavius were to show up again, would you guys get excited about him being there? Would you like, oh, cool, Flavius is here? Or is it like, oh, Cody brought back his fun, like, weird character that has a magic top hat that is a bag of holding. Like,
Are you asking me that question right now, or are you just?
I may be expanding and hoping that you'll go, yeah, we like Flavius. He's a cool dude.
I really don't think there was anything else in this room. I just wanted to make you come back down.
No, we're gonna button mash our way through this room, Mitch.
You guys are all welcome. This is all my fault.
Yep, it's all Mitch. We missed a whole bunch of stuff, by the way.
Not a whole bunch.
Like, we missed a couple of pathways. I'm not even sure how you get there.
Yeah, like there's some items. There's a secret area that we kind of missed. It's not a secret area per se.
Patches. I'm still pissed about the mimic.
Yeah, that kind of sucked.
Yeah, I don't even know what's in that mimic. Hopefully nothing important.
We had one chest get exploded on us.
Yeah.
All
in all, Earthen Peak, pretty shitty place.
I mean, did you see how much poison was there?
Yeah, and now we're moving to a kind of another shitty place.
I like this place.
This place is okay.
The Iron Keep.
How are we doing for time there, Mitch?
I think this is a great spot to end it.
Okay, cool. Well, welcome back, everybody. Sorry we missed a week. We both felt bad about that, but
we also just felt bad in general because we were all fucking sick.
Yeah, Mitch brought the con plague back from PAX, and somehow I ended up with it. So, we'll see you next time, everybody. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. There's a Green Man Gaming coupon down below if you want to use that. Affiliate link. And in the comments down below, tell us your favorite NPC from Dark Souls. Maybe it's your favorite NPC, period. Praise it.